Mr. Sanghvi, thank you so much for speaking with the CSR Journal. I heard the panel discussions also, some that you were part of. You said that philanthropy can be very lonely and very daunting. Why do you say that?
Because I think as opposed to many of the entrepreneurs and the family businesses that we have across the country, most of them are working in existing markets.
Okay.
There's proven track records, there's solutions that they're investing in, and they've been at it for 30, 40, 50 years.
Okay.
I think when they start looking at philanthropy, for example, if we look at child marriage,
okay,
and the statistics of over 50% of the marriages in this state alone, Maharashtra have are children between the ages of 14, 15, 16, and 17 getting married. These are intergenerational issues that there are no solutions yet that have been piloted or scaled to the manner that it needs to be. So I think when you're looking at giving in philanthropy, it's not just writing a check, but it's also finding good players that have had the community relationships and trying different things. Because chances are, for example, we've seen great successes with polio.
Okay.
Those initiatives which took various stakeholders to come through, they've been solved.
Okay.
And so what social entrepreneurs and philanthropists now are the most wicked challenges that we have across the country and across the world.
Okay.
And there's no real solutions yet. So you have to have risk appetite, you have to have patient capital, and you want to bring the skills, your networks, and your knowledge to these organizations on ground, enabling to solve some of these issues.
Okay. You do a lot of research, and there are a lot of reports that come from Dasra. There's a lot of people who go at the grassroots level, the field work that they do. The 2% mandate has just been there about 2 years back. How have things changed post that, and how do you think it will change in the next 10 years?
And so, to be honest with you, we were quite surprised how in the last 18 months there's actually been a great uptick in terms of CSR spend.
Okay.
According to groups like ICA and others, even the top 250 companies have done tremendous work with this new law in place. So I think that's a good sign in terms of funds being unlocked.
Okay.
I think the greatest thing about the law from a Dasra perspective is actually the fact that senior management and board members of these companies are actually now in charge of and participating in decisions that are being made from the corporate sector.
Yes.
And so, for example, 2 days ago at the gathering, you saw Kaku, the CEO of Bank of America, talking about how she's used how they've used their skills in terms of being a bank, vetting organizations, providing entrepreneurs with funding enabling them to scale. Exactly. And so I think that's really the game changer we see right now. We have a few companies like that, I guess, that are ahead of the curve today, but the goal is hopefully in the next 10 years, it's not just 20,000 crores or greater, in fact, will be unlocked, but more importantly, it's smart strategic capital where these companies are leveraging their core competencies to actually fight the fight of moving 800 million people out of poverty.
Okay, so what can we do beyond individual giving? I mean, what more can be there to actually make a difference? Because there's a lot of funds that's allocated, and somewhere in between it does not reach the last mile. So what is it that we can do more than individual giving? Again,
and from our perspective, at least at Dasra, we've seen in the past 16 years, it's actually the skills, the networks, and the knowledge combined with financial capital that create greater impact.
Okay, so you also spoke about improving communication networks throughout. Do you see any issues in governance even when the government is involved? Any problems from there?
No, I mean,
in implementation, or people who are trying to make a change, probably a lot of red tape, paperwork, political hegemony.
I mean, I think when you're changing anything or creating new markets, for example, even in the for-profit sector, and you want to be disruptive, there will always be individuals and organizations and middlemen, for example, who will try to stall some of that process.
Correct.
And so I think my sense is that as long as you're in it for the good, I think as long as you're able to benefit the communities around you and you have their support, I think the rest will follow.
Okay. Do you see a link between entrepreneurship and CSR with a lot of startups that are coming around, the ones who are actually wanting to make a change? Do you see a link between these startups and CSR?
I think the startup environment in the country has improved drastically in the past two decades.
Okay.
That being said, there's still a significant amount of more capital that needs to come to these startups.
Okay.
And as we spoke on the panel today, the current legal structures don't allow an investor or a company to invest in social businesses or for-profit entities. That being said, non-profit organizations also need more innovation in startups.
Okay.
And so comments, for example, that Rohini made today that her and Nandan are looking at in terms of changing the educational landscape through technology, these are hopefully initiatives that are non-profit in nature that can absorb CSR capital and, more importantly, leverage groups like Vodafone and others to actually use their core competencies to then bring that to bear.
Thank you so much for speaking with the CSR Journal.
Thank you for being with us. Thank you
so much.